that is one of the stories we're following for you on World View this afternoon. Let's talk a little bit about that with our international affairs expert and is a lecturer at USIU, Professor Macharia Munene. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much.
So we know quite a bit about IALA.
Yes.
Currently in the country, people are fighting about representation there. Others are reportedly declining being nominated to this. We don't hear much about the Pan-African Parliament. Why is that? Yet this is the legislative arm of the African Union.
Well, in part because it is overshadowed by the Commission, to the extent that the Commission is technically the executive arm of the AU. And it overshadows almost everything else except the summit. So people do not hear much about the parliament, in part because it does not do much. And in East Africa, it is very far.
Yeah,
that's right. So people don't, there is not even a struggle to be part of it.
To be part of, yeah.
And in fact, the membership tends to be people who are already in their local parliament, then going to represent their parliament in the other parliament, or selected a few people. Whereas in IALA is a different ballgame.
Right.
It looks as if it's near, you can always drive there.
Arusha, yes.
And it looks as if it's a place you send politicians who somehow missed the boat. And that's why, remember the first time it created problems was in the Nusumkata government.
Okay.
Because Kibaki had sent people. And by then, Peter Nyang ran to the East African judiciary.
Yes.
And the judiciary exercised its muscle.
Right.
And said Kenya is wrong in the way it nominated its MPs. Therefore, follow the following procedure.
Right. So that is when we started to hear about that.
Yes.
What's the significance of the Pan-African Parliament to the African agenda, to the AU, and in what ways can it strengthen the Commission? I mean, I think that's where, like you rightly said, we have the focus. Yeah. But what sort of role can it play in that respect? You know, there's Agenda 2063. There's quite a number of issues. I believe 2017 is the year of the youth for the African Union. So how can the Pan-African Parliament sort of complement and enhance the work of the Commission?
One, the people they send there, the MPs, whether they are focused or not is another matter. Because the African countries have to agree, mainly the presidents, because they make the decision as to what will happen, that they will push certain legislations, Pan-African legislations, that are agreeable to all of them. At present, we have major differences from each country to the other country. And when we have those, then even deciding the nature of parliament becomes a problem. Yeah. So the summit needs to get its act together. You know, there have been some proposals. At one time, I think Kenya was proposing that we should have free entry, migration, free visa across the board.
Right.
That's something
across the continent.
Across the continent.
Yes.
And there were no takers.
Yeah.
So what you have is, if the presidents were to be in agreement, then it is up to the legislative parliament, the Pan-African Parliament, to put it into effect. The other thing that can happen is some MPs can spearhead the whole thing and create news. Right now, the Pan-African Parliament does not know how to create news, so it is there. But exactly what are they doing? That becomes the problem. They are not making news. And it just takes a few MPs to say we are pushing this agenda. Yeah. And then it becomes a point of discussion.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Stay with me, Professor Macharia Munene, because we have lots to talk about on Worldview, including what's just happened in France, some interesting stories there. So we'll definitely want to hear your perspectives on that, Professor Macharia Munene.